At a time when 6.5 million voters have been axed from voter rolls in Bihar, it's a good time to recall an epic story of the importance of the single vote. It's a true story from 2008 when the Congress's then senior-most leader in Rajasthan, CP Joshi, lost the election to his BJP rival. Now, many people lose elections, and so what if CP Joshi was union minister and the state's tallest leader for the party? It was all fine till the results showed that he'd lost by just one vote. Former Chief Election Commissioner S.Y. Qureshi, who has written a fantastic book on elections called An Undocumented Wonder, recalls how Joshi kept asking for a recount. They did 2 rounds of it, and every time the result was the same: CP Joshi losing with a single vote. And then when the election officers checked further, Joshi found out that his wife and daughter had skipped voting that day because they went to the temple. Imagine, what could have been a victory by one vote turned out to be a defining loss for CP Joshi. He didn't become chief minister, and Ashok Gehlot took on that mantle, and the rest, as they say, is history. This story isn't in isolation. Our electoral history is just full of these stories if you look into the record books. In fact, the first person in the EVM age to apparently lose by one vote is A.R. Krishnamurthy in the Karnataka Assembly elections of 2004. During the counting process, it kept wavering between him fighting on a JDS ticket and his rival R. Dhruv of the Congress. Finally, Krishnamurthy polled 40,751 votes but lost because Dhruv got 40,752. Again, win by a single vote. In both these cases, at least the voting was decisive, even if the margin was a single vote. There have also been draws or ties. In Meghalay's 1988 election, both candidates got 2,591 votes. The returning officer had to declare the winner after a draw of lots. EC's history also has records of going all out for just one voter. Again, in Qureshi's book, they talk about this booth that was set up in 2004 for Charangatu Dasan in Kerala. The booth was part of Vadakara Lok Sabha seat and the Perambara constituency, and is in a coffee estate where Dasan and 350 were employed. But when the coffee estate stopped working, everyone else moved, but Dasan refused to. The EC tried to get him to move to a nearby polling booth, but when he refused to, they set up one exclusively for him to vote. Can you imagine the indulgence of it? This is a man employed as a watchman in a coffee estate, and the ECI had 6 people, 3 election officials, 2 police personnel and 1 driver, and 1 EVM posted just for this single voter. Fortunately, they didn't have to keep maintaining it because Dasan died in 2007. But the lone voter tradition continues, like the one in Banej in the Junagadh district of Gujarat, for the temple priest who lives 20 kilometers inside a forest and away from any vegetation. For 30 years, and even to this day, for every parliament and assembly election, the Election Commission of India sets up a booth in a forest construction for the priest. And elections are the only time the priest has any kind of social interaction. He votes every time. And even if he votes early in the day, the ECI stays in the booth till the end of the day, just in case someone has an objection, because those are the rules. I recount these stories for you to remind you of what the Election Commission's role has been and ideally is. As S.Y. Qureshi wrote in his book, the role of the poll panel is that it endeavors to ensure an enabling environment for each voter to vote without pressure or undue influence. While doing so, it focuses on putting in place user-friendly, honest and transparent processes while instilling a sense of confidence, justice and belief that every single vote counts. One man, one vote is the underlying principle, and yet suddenly the Election Commission has become the adversary. Why? It's because they took everyone by surprise when on June 24th they announced they were going to do a check on the electoral rolls and look for genuine people, removing all those who either didn't take part in this revision, providing the right citizenship papers like birth certificates, not just theirs, but their parents if they are born after 2004, or removing those that have died or moved. Now, there were 80 million voters registered in Bihar. So, if you're going to remove people, you would expect ECI to go door to door and really do their checks, right? It's a fact that they did this process, the first phase, in just about a month, that everyone finds really suspicious. After this impossibly speedy process, they removed 6.5 million voters, and a majority of them are those that may have died since the last revision, moved or are registered in other places. But here's the problem that critics point out. The EC isn't revealing which of the voters have been removed for specific reasons, nor are they making the names of those that have died public. The EC says the law doesn't compel them to do so. But is that the spirit which the EC operates? Is that the transparency that is the foundation of the poll body? There are reports coming in of Bihar migrants who travel home for elections, rushing to their villages now when elections haven't even been announced, to just make sure that their vote and name on the rolls is safe. That doesn't seem to be in the spirit of what the Election Commission was intended for. Leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi has just released details of how it took them 6 months to sift through the voter list of one constituency in Karnataka because the EC wouldn't share soft copies. For the purpose of this video, forget the contents and the allegations of fraudulent voters and houses with hundreds of non-existing voters that the opposition has thrown. Just go on social media and Google the ECI. Chances are that you'll be met with all kinds of allegations of how the EC in Bihar suddenly changed their draft roll format to the illicit ways that the block level officers are operating. Isn't the EC worried about what all this is doing to their public perception? Fine that they didn't meet the 300 opposition MPs that tried to protest against them, although maybe they should have. After all, they are all representatives of each of those voters whose rights the ECI champions. But the question they need to answer is, are they doing all that they can to restore public confidence and trust in them? They obviously have an image problem that they really need to fix.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.